Where the chaos realm bleeds into reality, there gather the chosen, eager to slaughter all of those brave or foolish enough to stand before them. Hello there, and welcome to this painting video. In this video, we're going to show you how to paint the new Chaos Chosen from the Slaves to Darkness box set to a battle-ready standard. So the first thing that we need to do is undercoat the miniature, and for this, we've used Chaos Black Spray. The first paints that we're going to use are going to be Bugman's Glow, Iron Warriors, and Retributor Armor. So let's get some of that Bugman's Glow onto the palette. What I'm going to do here is just get a nice healthy dollop and get it onto the palette, just like that. And then get quite a bit of water there and just thin it out. Yeah, that's good, because you don't want it to be too thick and goopy for what we're about to do. And as you see here, I'm just rolling out my brush to a nice sharp point and getting off the excess. And then what we want to do is just pick out the eye details and the flesh just in the visor here. The reason why you want the paint nice and thin here is that you don't want to get rid of the detail. Once the paint is dry, just do a second layer to make sure you've got good coverage. With the skin picked out, we're now going to use Iron Warriors and get that all over the armor. Don't worry about being too neat at this point, because you just want to try and get really good coverage with the Iron Warriors. However, just be careful when going around the eyes that we've just done, but if you do get any of the silver on there, you can easily just tidy back up. Once the paint is dry, make sure to do another coat, because you want to get really good coverage with this silver. With the silver details picked out, you can see that I've done the weapon as well. What we need to do next is pick out all of the gold trim. And for this, we're using Retributor Armor. Just take your time when doing this, and if you get any of the gold onto the silver, you can easily just tidy back up with Iron Warriors. And with the gold trim picked out, we now need to move on to the rest of the base paints. And for this, we're going to be using Corn Red, Corvus Black, Rhinoxide, and Ushabti Bone. So let's get some Corn Red onto the palette. Just going to get a dollop here. Get it onto the palette. A little bit of water just to thin it out. Yeah, happy with that. And then what I need to do is start picking out the leather on the weapon. Just take your time when doing this, when going around the gold and the silver details. Now that the red details have been filled in, the next thing that we need to do is start picking out the tunic underneath the armor, and for this we're going to be using Corvus Black. With that stage complete, we now need to start picking out all of the brown leather details, and for this we're going to be using Rhinoxide. And there you go, all of the brown details on the model have been picked out. Now that that's finished, we need to move on to picking out all the bone, and for this we're using Ushabti Bone. And there we go, with that stage complete, all of the base details are now blocked in. What we need to focus on next is doing the contrasts and the shades, and for this we're going to be using Basilicanum Grey, Agrax Earthshade, and Guilliman Flesh. So let's get some Basilicanum Grey onto the paintbrush. So what I'm going to do is get some of the contrast straight onto my paintbrush here. Just get a little bit off there. And then what I want to do is start getting that all over the silver metallic areas, just being careful not to get it onto the gold details or the leather details. Just doing that, making sure to get it all over. So as you can see, there's quite a lot on the vambrace there, so I'm just going to clean off my brush, soak up the excess with the bristles, and then just apply that into the other areas of the silver armor. Once this first layer of Basilicanum Grey is applied, make sure to do a second layer. With that section complete, you can see how the two layers of Basilicanum Grey have really dulled down the armor. I've also done it on the axe head, but as you can also see, I've left the bladed edges untouched. The next thing that we need to do is use Agrax Earthshade and apply that all over the gold areas, the bone details, as well as the red and brown leather details. With the Agrax Earthshade applied, we now need to use Guilliman flesh and apply that over the skin details just where the eyes are. And there we go, with that stage complete, all of the shades and contrasts have now been applied. What we need to do next is focus on doing the base, and for this we're going to be using astrogranite debris as well as Agrax Earthshade. So let's get some astrogranite debris onto our texture tool. What I'm going to do is get the large scoop side of the texture tool, just here like that. Get a chunk out. And then what I want to do is just put it onto the base. So you're going to need quite a bit of this. And get a little bit more. Get it on like that, and then start pushing the texture around on the base. When you go near his feet, you can always change to the smaller flat end of the texture tool like that. And just try and be as neat as possible. However, if you do get any of the texture onto his feet, don't worry, as this helps to tie the model in with the base. As always, once you've completely covered the base with the texture, let it stand for around an hour before you do anything for it to dry so the texture can take effect. With the texture dry, we now need to apply Agrax Earthshade all over it. And with the shade dry, the model is now complete. All that's left to do is to paint the rim of the base, and for this we've used Black Legion, but you can do it in whatever color matches the rest of your army. With the base completed and the rim painted, our Chaos Chosen is ready to bring slaughter and suffering to all those who stand before him. So there are just a couple of things to remember. When applying the base coats, don't forget to neaten up, because this will help to make your model look really good as you go forward. Also, it's always best to have multiple thin layers of paint rather than one thick layer, so just remember to thin them out with some water. Well, we hope you've enjoyed this video, and we hope you enjoy painting your own Chaos Chosen from the Slaves to Darkness box set. And we look forward to seeing you again soon. Goodbye.